Now, I'd also like to add a new feature to our crawler. So we know that it works perfectly with pretty much all websites, but it's going to have a problem with websites that will require you to log in. Or maybe you have a normal website, such as ZSecurity, but also if you log in, you will have more functionality, such as the user page. So that page might contain links and vulnerabilities, but our crawler is going to miss that because it won't be able to log in. Now you might think this is simple. All you have to do is just use the code that we used to log into this website, which is the code that I have right here in the post program. So we create a dictionary of the inputs, we put the username and the password and the input button, and then we send them by a post request with the parameters. But this will not work because when you send this request, you will log in, that's fine. But once the request is over and you get the response, you will automatically be logged out. So you can think of it as if you close the browser and you delete all the history and cookies and all of that. Let me show you. So I'm just going to copy all of this and let's put it in our program. And we're going to log in before we start the vulnerability scanner, and then we'll start scanning after that. So I'm going to remove this variable here for the target URL, and I'm just going to set the target to DVWA. I'll also need to import requests in here. And this code should work fine now, but let's go and test it. And as you can see, it's able to get me only one link, which is a link to a style sheet in the login page. So basically the code is working fine. It's able to get all the links in here, but there is only one link. And even though we gave it code to log in, so we know that this code right here will allow me to log in, I'm given the right username and the right password, and we tested this before, we're still not able to log in because this login process is fine and it'll be successful. But by the end of it, you can imagine that as if you're gonna log in here as a human normally, and then you will close the browser and delete the history. So every time you make a new request after that to extract all the links, you will be logged out and you won't be able to get the links. Now the solution to this is actually very easy. So let me maximize this again. And what I'm going to do in my scanner, as soon as we create the scanner object, I'm going to create a session. So I'm going to say self.session is equal to requests.session. So what we're doing is we're creating a session object which will represent our current session. Then, throughout my program, every time I want to send a request, whether it's a post or a GET request, instead of doing requests.method name, we're going to say self.session followed by the method name. So, right now in my program, I only have one call to requests, and I'm using a GET method. But instead of calling the requests library like this, I'm going to do self.session. And then we can use the .get and the .post as we've seen them before. The advantage of this is, as soon as we create the object in here, at this line, we will create a session. So you can think of this as if we are opening a web browser. So then, everything I do, it will be done throughout this session. So, right here, whenever I'm logging in, I'm going to copy this line and paste it here. And again, instead of calling requests.post, what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say I want to call my vulnerability scanner .session. And then to this session, I want to post the following data to the following URL. So this data will be used to log in to the login page, which is with a username of admin and a password of password. And then once I log in, I will not lose that session because it will be stored in the session variable in self.session in here. Then I can send requests as post or get to my target by doing self.session followed by the method that I want to use. This will allow me to send these requests from that session, so if I log in, I will always be logged in unless I actually go and log out. Now, I should actually put the login URL in here instead of the target URL. So it's going to be dbwa followed by login.php. And I also don't need to store the result of this anywhere because I don't really want to use it. I just want to log in. And I'm not going to need the requests library in here anymore. So let's go ahead and test this code. And perfect. It is logging in and it's actually getting me more links than I was getting before, which means that it's able to log in and it's able to persist its session and send requests as a logged in user. Now, speaking of logging out, you can see that one of the links that we detected is a logout.php. And basically, when you submit a request to this file, it'll log you out of the website. So this means you won't be able to send any requests to the website again without logging in. Now this will be a problem because this link is being added to my target lists. This means that whenever I run any scan to this link, it'll actually log me out of the session and I won't be able to do anything anymore on the website. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna create a variable here after my target URL and we're gonna call this links to ignore. And basically I want this to be a list in which each element is a link that I want to tell my program to ignore and not send requests to. So I'm gonna copy this and put it as the first element in this list. And it's the only element in our case. Then I want to pass this list to my vulnerability scanner. So we're going to pass it in here, links to ignore. And then I'm going to modify my constructor method to take this as an input. So we'll call it ignore links. And in here, I'm going to say myself.links to ignore is equal to the ignore links, so that in my program now I can access this list by saying self.links to ignore. Then the main place that I actually want to ignore them is where I do the crawling, which is this call in here. So this call checks if this link is not an external link, if it is unique, and I also want to check if the link is not in myself.links to ignore. Therefore, if we reach this line and we have a unique link that is a link on my target website, I will also check if this link is in my list to ignore. If it is, I won't crawl this link and I won't even make a request to it and I won't even store it in my target links because this is not a target link. It is actually a link in my links to ignore list. So if we just run the program again, it should work fine, but this will actually fix a problem that we would face in the future and you would actually face even in crawling in other websites. But it's not an issue for this particular website because we're able to get all the links before crawling the logout link.